I'm Elena Marlowe, 32, a hematology researcher based in Portland. My anchor is a worn leather notebook filled with formulas and sketches from the first study I ever designed, a reminder that my ideas, not anyone else's, built my career. But tonight that anchor feels like paper in a storm. In the sterile hush of St. Vincent's Hospital, my mother's voice cuts like glass. Your sister needs you, Elena. You're the only bone marrow match. Well, her words hang heavier than the fluorescent lights. The same sister who once dismantled my research, leaked my data, and left my reputation in ruins. Now clinging to life because of me, and here's the twist no one in this family admits aloud. Amanda didn't just sabotage my work. She's been rewriting my story since childhood, erasing me one lie, one betrayal at a time. If your sister destroyed everything you built, would you still save her? Be honest in the comments. I grew up in a weatherboard house outside Salem, Oregon, where appearances mattered more than truth. Our father manicured the lawn every Sunday, our mother hosted church teas, and neighbors called us picture perfect. Inside those walls, I lived as the shadow to Amanda's spotlight. Her blonde hair matched theirs. My auburn curls marked me as different. Every win of mine was expected. Every tiny improvement of hers was remarkable. Even now, that imbalance shapes this moment. My parents look at me not as a daughter with agency, but as a tool to preserve the golden child. I stare at Amanda through the glass, pale beneath the chemo drips, and wonder if this family ever saw me as more than a spare part. Tomorrow, I'll have to decide if blood, whether shared or not, is reason enough to risk my own. I remember being 8 years old, standing in the kitchen with a straight A report card clutched like proof of existence. My father glanced at it, muttered, "Good job," and went back to stirring his coffee. A month later, Amanda raised her grades from C's to B's, and my parents whisked her out for steak dinners and bought her a new bicycle. That pattern repeated everywhere. On my 10th birthday, I got a homemade cake with wax candles leaning sideways. When Amanda turned 13, she had a DJ in the backyard and a stack of wrapped gifts taller than she was. Even at Christmas, the difference cut sharp. My box held practical sweaters and secondhand books. Amanda unwrapped glittering electronics, the latest computer, a branded camera, even when money was supposedly tight. Back then, I thought maybe I was unlovable. Why else would fairness vanish every December morning? Only later did I realize favoritism wasn't an accident. It was the air our family breathed. Amanda knew how to weaponize it. She framed me for broken vases, for missing cookies, for carpet stains I'd never seen. My protests only confirmed the script. Elena as the problem, Amanda as the victim. I once watched her smirk as Mom grounded me for scissors near her closet, when in truth she'd sliced her own dress because she wanted something flashier. The only person who saw me was my grandmother, who lived in a farmhouse outside Bend. She baked shortbread and never once compared me to Amanda. "You have your own light," she whispered once, flour dusting her hands. "It doesn't match theirs, but that doesn't mean it's dimmer." At the time, her words felt like a consolation prize. Now I wonder if she was trying to warn me. By high school, I had stopped fighting for approval. My survival strategy was grades, science fairs, and quiet trips to the public library. I built myself like a fortress of knowledge. No one could argue with test scores or published articles. Amanda chased popularity, prom crowns, and family applause. Two parallel lives under one roof, bound only by blood and constant comparison. Yet tonight, with Amanda sick and pale behind hospital glass, I see how those years shaped the roles we still play. She is the one worth saving, and I am the one expected to sacrifice. When I left for college, it felt less like a milestone and more like parole. My acceptance letter from Johns Hopkins arrived with a full scholarship, covering tuition and housing. I thought, naively, that my parents might finally beam with pride. Instead, my father grunted that Baltimore was too far from Oregon, while my mother worried aloud that I'd collapse under the pressure. That same evening, Amanda burst through the door, announcing she'd been accepted to a fashion design program in Los Angeles. My parents lit up like Christmas lights. They researched apartments with her, toasted her big future, and left my letter forgotten under a coffee cup ring. So I learned my first adult lesson. Independence is its own applause, even when no one else claps. I threw myself into pre-med courses, slept on library couches, and carried my battered leather notebook everywhere. Every formula I scrawled in its pages became both proof and promise that my life would not orbit Amanda. Years blurred into rotations and residencies. When I was 28, I landed at a hematology research institute back in Portland. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had escaped, only to return to the same state where my shadow still lingered. But this time, I carried credentials no one could erase. My team focused on stem cell therapies for leukemia. And under my mentor, Dr. Hayes, our trials began showing remarkable promise. Meanwhile, Amanda's life unraveled in fits and starts. Modeling contracts that fizzled. A marriage that lasted 18 months. A string of half-finished projects she narrated to our parents as bad luck. And every time, they clucked with sympathy, sending money or excuses while my achievements barely earned a nod. I tried to ignore it. Science was my oxygen, my refuge. But favoritism has a way of leaking across generations. Amanda started dropping by my lab unannounced, first with coffees, then with questions. "Explain it to me like I'm 5, she'd say, eyes glittering as I tried to distill years of research into bite-sized metaphors. At first I thought she wanted connection. Now I realized she was collecting weapons. At first, Amanda's sudden presence felt almost surreal. 5 years had passed since we'd spoken at our grandmother's funeral, and now she appeared in my lab like nothing had fractured us. She brought pastries, commented on my colleagues' outfits, and laughed with the same silver bell charm that had once fooled everyone in our family. She insisted she wanted to start fresh. And part of me, the part that still longed for a sibling bond, wanted to believe her. I told myself that maybe age had softened her edges. Maybe this was a chance to rewrite our story. But Amanda never did anything without angles. She flipped through articles on my desk when she thought I wasn't looking, jotted notes in a slim leather planner, and asked questions that felt rehearsed. "So, how do these cells know which cancer to attack?" She'd press, eyes wide with faux innocence. "It's complicated," I'd reply, deliberately vague. But each time she nudged me further, as if mining a vein of gold. Martin noticed before I did. One evening he closed the lab door and said, "Elena, I saw your sister having coffee with Richard Wells yesterday." My stomach clenched. Wells headed a rival program at Massachusetts General, and for years we'd been in a silent race to crack the same therapy. "Are you sure it was her?" I asked, though dread already told me the answer. "Positive," Martin said grimly. "They seemed pretty friendly." That night, sleep evaded me. My leather notebook lay on the nightstand, pages swollen with years of work. I'd always considered it my talisman, but now it felt fragile. As if Amanda's touch could smudge the ink into ash. Still, I tried to rationalize. Maybe she was just networking, desperate for relevance. Maybe Wells was a coincidence. Families fracture over suspicion, not facts. I knew that truth too well. So I swallowed my doubts and let her stay close. Looking back, that hesitation was the hinge. The moment I chose hope over instinct. And the moment Amanda began dismantling everything I had built. 2 weeks later, Priya, my research assistant, burst into my office, her face pale. "Elena, the backup drive's gone." I froze. That drive contained months of trial data, including the modification protocol we'd refined through sleepless nights. Without it, our entire edge in the race against leukemia treatments evaporated. We tore the lab apart, opening cabinets, checking every drawer. Nothing. I reported the theft immediately, but security logs showed no unauthorized entries. Whoever had taken it had access. That night, I lay awake, replaying details I'd brushed aside. Amanda's habit of slipping my access card into her purse by accident. The photos she snapped of open journals. The notebook pages that seemed ever so slightly misaligned after her visits. 2 days later, the blow landed. Richard Wells announced a breakthrough at Mass General. His team's new stem cell therapy used an almost identical modification method to ours. My jaw locked as I read the press release, the phrases lifted like fingerprints from my own research. The Institute launched an investigation and suspicion spread like smoke. Colleagues whispered in hallways, eyeing me as if betrayal could be contagious. Dr. Hayes tried to defend me, but even she couldn't shield me from the board's questions. Then came the footage. Amanda entering the building at night using my old access card, the one I'd reported missing the week before, leaving hours later with a purse bulging heavier than when she'd arrived. When Dr. Hayes slid the still images across her desk, her voice was soft with pity. Elena, the board is reconsidering your leadership of the project. They feel your judgment is compromised. I stared at the photo of Amanda's smirk caught in grainy black and white. My sister hadn't just sabotaged me. She had gutted the very work I'd built my life around. That evening, I went to her hotel, heart pounding like a warning drum. She opened the door in silk pajamas, holding a glass of wine. The innocence she'd worn like perfume vanished instantly. Her smile sharpened, satisfied. "What did you expect?" she said coolly. "You've had your turn. Now it's mine." I don't knock twice. The hotel hallway smells like citrus cleaner and old carpet as Amanda opens the door. Silk robe cinched, stem of wine balanced in her fingers. The mask drops the second she sees my face. "You used my card," I say. "You took the drive." She tilts her head amused. "Don't be melodramatic. You met Wells. You fed him my work." Amanda's smile turns blade thin. "Relax, Elena. The science still saves people. It just saves me first." Heat spikes behind my eyes. "You didn't just steal data. You burned the one thing I built for myself." She shrugs, unbothered. "You were always going to be the hero." I gave the universe some balance. The laugh that escapes me doesn't sound like me. I set the leather notebook on the table between us, its scuffed cover suddenly small. "This is the last time you touch anything that's mine." She sips. "We'll see." By Monday, the board reassigns me. No firing, just the slow suffocation of oversight. Weekly reports, locked cabinets, a new PI co-leading my own study. Colleagues avoid my eyes in the break room. Whispers collect like dust. Dr. Hayes closes her office door and speaks gently, like to someone concussed. "Hold your ground, Elena. Science has a long memory." I nod because I need to, then sit alone in my car until the dashboard stops swimming. I call my parents that night. "Amanda stole my research," I say, voice steady by force. My mother exhales a tired laugh. "You always make things bigger than they are." My father adds, "Maybe focus on your work instead of blaming your sister." A click, and I'm 8 again, holding a perfect report card that no one sees. I put the phone down and don't pick it back up. Martin shows up with takeout and a look I don't argue with. "You have 2 choices," he says, sliding dumplings across the counter. "Let this define you, or investigate everything. Lab and family." "Investigate my family?" He taps my notebook. "You've mentioned gaps before. Missing baby pictures. Your grandmother's comment that memory lifts like a pressed leaf. Flower on my grandmother's hands, her eyes kind. Your light doesn't match theirs. Not dimmer. Just different." I start with what I can reach. The Hale basement is a museum of labeled bins, and I move like a thief in my own origin story. Obstetrics records that list Amanda and a son named Michael who lived 3 days, then nothing. No pregnancy for me. A manila envelope from Northern Shores Adoption Services, dated months before my birthday. In an old address book, a clipped card, "Home study complete." I leave everything exactly as I found it, finger width to finger width. On my way out of the neighborhood, Mrs. Benton, our forever next door, presses shortbread into my hands and, unasked, offers a sentence that reorders my bones. "You came home at 6 months, dear." Such green eyes, I order a DNA kit that night. Spit into plastic. Seal. Mail. The waiting becomes a metronome. Work, silence, therapy, breathing in a parked car. Over the next 3 weeks, I catalog what hurts and what helps. Running at dawn helps. Reading hospital press releases does not. I answer Dr. Hayes' emails with facts and no apologies. I stop checking my parents' names on my phone. The results arrive on a Thursday, blunt as a door, 0% relation to the Hales. The breath I take is the first clean inhale in months. I am not broken. I am misfiled. At dusk, my phone rings again, my mother's name pulsing on the screen like an alarm. For the first time in weeks, I answer. Her voice is scraped raw. Elena, you need to come to Providence Mercy. It's Amanda. Acute myeloid leukemia. They're testing family for a bone marrow match. The doctor says siblings are best. The room shrinks. I press my palm flat over the notebook to keep the world from tilting. I'll be there in an hour, I say, and hang up before the old gravity can drag me under. The oncology wing smells of antiseptic and lemon polish. Too clean for the reality it houses. I pass doors labeled with surnames and chemo schedules before I find the waiting area. My father paces grooves into the linoleum. My mother clutches styrofoam coffee like it's communion. They look up with the same expression I've seen my whole life. Expectation, not welcome. She's in room 412, my father says, voice clipped. They'll want your blood drawn right away. Dr. Patel, the attending oncologist, is brisk but kind. Acute myeloid leukemia, aggressive subtype. We've started induction chemo, but her best chance for remission is a bone marrow transplant. Siblings are often ideal matches. Her eyes rest on me with practiced gravity. Will you consent to testing? I nod. The irony slams harder than the needle. I've devoted years to blood cancers. And now the sister who gutted my career might need my marrow to survive. Amanda looks smaller in the hospital bed, scarf hiding thinning hair, nails chipped. She smiles when she sees me, a shadow of her old confidence. Elena, you came? Of course, I say, because what else can a human mouth form in this moment? Her eyes glisten. I need to tell you something before it's too late. I took your work. I gave it to Wells. I was jealous a tremor runs through her hands. And now I have the very disease you were trying to cure. Isn't that karma? I grip the rail until my knuckles blanch. You don't get to dress this up as fate, Amanda. You made choices. Tears slide down her cheeks anyway. I'm sorry, she whispers. For a second, my chest twists with the same ache I've carried since childhood. The urge to forgive, to buy peace with my silence. But the memory of that boardroom, of Wells's paper stealing my voice, burns hotter. The next afternoon, results come back. My parents aren't matches. Dr. Patel folds her hands. Elena, you're a partial match. Not perfect, but viable relief floods my mother's face. My father exhales like a verdict's been read. When can we schedule? My mother presses. Dr. Patel raises a hand. Bone marrow donation is invasive. Elena needs to decide freely. I'll need time, I manage. My mother's voice sharpens. Time? Your sister doesn't have time. After everything we've done for you, you hesitate now? The laugh bursts out, raw and bitter. Everything you've done for me? You mean the decades of dismissal? The favoritism? Her eyes narrow. This isn't about old grievances. It's about family. The word detonates. Family, the same word that once bound me, silenced me. Now I know it's not even biological truth. I look at them both steady. I'll give you my decision tomorrow. That night, I sit with Martin on a stone bench outside the hospital. Rain beads on our shoulders, ignored. You know the DNA results, he says. You're not their blood. The odds you'd match were lottery slim. Yet here you are, I whisper almost to myself. If I save her, do I save myself or do I erase myself again? By morning, the hospital waiting room looks like a family reunion staged for a photo op. Cousins whispering, uncles pretending to read magazines, everyone orbiting around Amanda's wheelchair. Her scarf is tied brighter today, a splash of color against skin that has turned ash pale. She clutches a blanket like a trophy, eyes darting to me the moment I enter. My mother rises at once. Well, you've had your time? What's your answer? Every gaze in the room snaps to me. A jury waiting for confession. My pulse hammers, but my voice comes out steady. Before I decide, you all need the truth. My father frowns. Elena, this isn't the time. It's exactly the time, I cut in. Because what you're asking me to give comes at a cost, and you've never once been honest about mine. I open my folder and slide the papers onto the coffee table. Lab certified. Indisputable. I'm not your biological daughter. DNA proves it. No shared genetics with either of you. That's why I'm only a partial match. Silence floods the room. Amanda blinks hard, then whispers, What are you talking about? You never wondered why I looked different. Why baby photos of me only start at 6 months? I wasn't born into this family. I was adopted after Michael died. The name cracks the air. My Uncle Robert stiffens. My mother pales. Enough, she hisses. This doesn't matter. We raised you, that makes you ours. The fallout spreads fast. By the next afternoon, word has trickled through every branch of our extended family. Some cousins message me privately, half sympathy, half disbelief. Others echo my mother's line. Family is more than DNA, stop being dramatic. But for the first time, I don't feel the urge to defend myself. Amanda remains in the hospital, her condition fragile, but the donor registry moves quickly. 2 potential matches surface. Both strangers, both statistically stronger candidates than me. When I share this with Dr. Patel, she nods firmly. We'll proceed with the best one once confirmation comes back. Relief courses through me, but it only deepens the divide at home. That night, my father calls. His voice is tight, stripped of authority. Elena, you blindsided us, announcing the adoption like that. Your mother hasn't stopped crying. I blindsided you? My laugh is hollow. I was the one kept in the dark for 32 years. He sighs heavily. You don't understand. After Michael died, your mother couldn't face telling the truth. We thought we were protecting you. Protecting me? By making me believe I was simply less worthy? By feeding Amanda all the praise and leaving me scraps? Well, his silence tells me everything. Meanwhile, Amanda requests to see me alone. Against my better judgment, I step into her dim hospital room. She looks smaller than ever, but her eyes still carry a sharpness that reminds me who she is. I'm not here to beg, she says quietly. I know what I did to you, stealing your research, resenting you, all of it. Maybe I don't deserve a second chance, but I need you to hear me. When Mom told me about the adoption, I felt cheated too. Cheated that I never got to know the truth. Cheated that I wasted years treating you like an enemy when maybe you were the only one who could have been my real ally. Her words crack something inside me, but I don't let her see it. I fold my arms. If you wanted an ally, Amanda, you should have started by not burning down everything I built. Tears slide down her cheeks, but she doesn't argue. For once, Amanda is speechless. 6 months later, the air outside feels different. Lighter. Amanda received her transplant from a donor in Minnesota, a college student who will never know how close my family came to imploding. She's in remission now, at least according to the brief updates my aunts send me. My parents still try to reach out, but the guilt in their voices carries more weight than their words. I answer politely, but I don't rush to repair what was never truly whole. Seattle has become my refuge. The new institute trusts me with my own lab. No supervision, no whispers of scandal. Martin works just 2 floors down, and our late nights bent over data often drift into laughter, sometimes into something quieter and more personal. For the first time, partnership doesn't feel like competition, it feels like balance. The other piece of my life, my identity, has also shifted. Meeting Catherine, my biological mother, in that rainy Portland cafe was not the end of a mystery, but the beginning of a slow stitching together of self. Oh, her green eyes mirror mine. Her quirks echo my own. And in her presence, I finally feel rooted. We speak weekly, sometimes about genetics, sometimes just about what's for dinner. Both matter. Therapy helps too. Dr. Chen tells me healing isn't about erasing the past, but about refusing to let it dictate the future. I carry my grandmother's words. You have your own light, like a compass. Do I forgive Amanda? Not yet. Maybe never fully. But I no longer let her betrayal define me. She wanted to shatter my life. Instead, she forced me to rebuild it stronger. Truer. If betrayal has ever carved you open, you know the choice that follows. Stay hollow, or grow into the space it creates. I chose growth. And now, for the first time, I belong. Not to a family that never saw me, but to myself, and to the people who do. Have you ever uncovered a truth that changed everything about who you are? Share your story below. I'll be reading.